Okay, so this is the second session, and into the first part we have covered the module 1, in which we talked about the basics of programming, the introduction to programming, what is a language, what are different languages, what is a high level language, what is a medium level language, and what is a low level language. And then we covered about what is the basic introduction to Python and how to install that, how to install different tools into Python, what is pip, what is virtual environment, and what could be the various possibilities which we can explore with Python. Enough of the introduction. Now moving on to the second module, and into the second module we'll be going to talk about IDE, which we have actually already discussed about Jupyter. So right now our task would not be to discuss about IDE. I will be going to follow the core of the Python, and I hope you, maximum of you, would also be going to follow the core Python. But if you still want to go for Jupyter or Anaconda or PyCharm, it's clearly your choice, it will work. And if you will be having any doubt, you can ask me right there by sharing your screen or asking on the audio or putting it up on chat or howsoever. Fine. Now, not more to be discussed about. Choose is your particular choice. You want to go for an easy one, it is Jupyter. You want to go for a tough one but better scalable, then core of the Python is there for you. Now let's start with writing the first code with Python. Okay, so I'm gonna work with my desktop. What I'll be going to do is I'll be opening my terminal right here. Okay, into my terminal I'll just create a file. I hope the font is visible to you. I'll just create a file in my in my desktop location, and I name it. First I navigate to desktop, and I name that something like Python session2.py. Okay, now this is the file right here. In Windows you can create it directly by right clicking. In Ubuntu we need to create it by terminal. Now what we can do in order to run the basic hello world program, how can we print the output on the screen? No IOStream, no header file, no main function, just simply write print hello world or whatever you want to print. Okay, and that is all required. Otherwise, those who belongs to the background of C or C++ or Java, they know what is the mess around header file goes on. Some of the compiler use .h, some of the compiler do not use .h in the header file. There is a main function, there is a return zero stuff, then there is the type of main function, then there is clear screen.
Sir, please repeat your steps. I am
Okay,
not
what
getting.
I did is I didn't have done anything on terminal. What I did is I just have created a file on my desktop by using this particular command on terminal. So this is the arrow which creates the file, and this is particularly for Linux only. How to create a file in Windows? Simply right click and create new, and then go to text file. Simple enough. Whereas in the case of desktop you will not find this. In the case of Ubuntu you will not find this feature. So either you can open the text editor, make a new file and save it on the desktop, or you can create a new file right in this way. And I created the file with an extension of .py. This thing you need to make sure very much. And even on Windows and on Linux, if you have Python installed in your system and you create a .py file, you will get this sort of logo into it. Okay, and even this sort of logo would be available when you write a single line of Python code into it, then only. Otherwise, if you'll create a new file, and if you'll see the desktop, the file is normal text file, though with the extension of .py. And when I write a particular code into it, it turned out to be a Python file. The Python logo gets embossed over it. Fine. So what I did is I just have created a file. Now moving on, then I was discussing about what to write in my file. Wait, I'll just set it up so that both of the screens would be visible to you. Fine, so I hope this will work. Well, no such text.
But
I cannot
we can't do this
it
in some command prompt time, right?
do what? This print hello world part.
No. Like CD, you said CD desktop and Python underscore session to the
Yeah,
file
you
which
can create this in Windows as well. This is command prompt itself. So you can create this in Windows as well. But particularly Windows also has the flexibility of GUI based method to create a file. And it is just like a normal file. How do you create a TXT file? You just right click on whatever folder you are. sorry, you are, and then you click on new, and then you click on create new text file or something like this, right? So this way or that way, either of the way you can do that. Now coming on to the part, what I have written is simply print hello world. I hope this font is visible to you.
Yes, yes,
Is it? This print hello world is visible to you?
yes.
Fine. So I just have written this. Whereas what would have happened is it would be a C++ file. You firstly need to, okay, leaving this from now on, I'll be writing a C++ code. So you need to write a hash include iostream .h or without .h depending on the compiler you're using. Then you go for hash include conio, and right here you need to mention .h all the time. Then you need to go for int main. Fine. Those who are comfortable with C++. Then you write here go for
सर फोल्डर कैसे क्रिएट करना है इसमें कमांड
Linux
प्रॉम्प्ट में
Linux में
नहीं
yeah,
विंडोज में
or
विंडोज में
Windows you can directly create a folder by right clicking on any folder. What is wrong? See Windows, how do
और
you create a
कमांड
folder?
प्रॉम्प्ट
On command prompt you can try going for mkdir space, okay wait, not here, my bad, mkdir space folder name. So suppose I give a folder name of demo, it will create me a directory of demo right here. The full name is make directory. I hope it will work for Windows as well. This is the command for Linux. I'm not much into Windows, so I hope my command would be clear on Windows as well. You can give it a try. Otherwise, you can I can just search for you. Well, yeah. So mkdir is working in that as well. So okay, you can
ओके
try
सर
going for mkdir. Okay.
ओके
Moving
इसके
on ahead.
बाद
What
वो प्रिंट वाली विंडो आएगी ना प्रिंट हेलो
I
वर्ड
did.
वाली ये फोल्डर फोल्डर कौन सा है
I'm not getting your voice. It was so
सर
disturbed.
ये फोल्डर फोल्डर बना के फिर ही आएगा ना प्रिंट हेलो वर्ड वाला विंडो
Okay, this is not folder. This is a file.
यस यस I want to say how to create a file in command prompt.
In command prompt you can go for this particular command, this greater than arrow and the name of the file, or else you can try going for creating it with just simply a right click then new. Normally how do you create a file on Windows? You must have created some files on the Windows earlier as well. That is the same way you need to create the file.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
so are you there on the call, Shankar, now? Okay, so he's there. Fine. So what we have discussed is we were discussing that how to write a particular command, a particular function or code in C++ in order to print hello world. So this is the first line. Okay. Then we need to go for second import, then int main, then clear screen. Then we write here cout hello, yeah, or hello world, whatever you want to write here, semicolon all the time, and then you need to say return 0. Before that you also need to say get ch. Fine. So this is what you actually need in order to print hello world in C++. Whereas in the case of Python we are just writing this. That is it. That is why people used to say that Python is comparatively so much easy to write when it comes to when it would be compared with C++ or C or any other name. Okay, so I'll just execute this and you can see the hello world is right here. Okay, moreover I'll just rename the file to a shorter name. I'll just call it session 2 and we'll be keep on working with that. So why I renamed it? So that it will be on the same line. So you're getting hello world. Now what I want to print hello and world on the different line. So what I need to do, hello, and on the next line world. Now let's see, we'll be getting an hello, we'll be getting a world on the next line, because print function, whenever you execute the print function, you will get that the print function always ends with a new line by default. If you want that, suppose you have 3 lines into it. Okay, so 3-liner code. I'm saying print hello world, then good morning. Suppose. Okay. Now let's see. What I want is I want hello, then any character, any stream of character. Suppose this. Okay, I want this stream after the end of every line. So what you can do, I will be using this stream when I will specify end attribute. Within the string I'll just paste that stream and do that. Now wherever your first function would end, first print function, the second print function would not be having a next line, would be having this end star star star, and same for the second and same for the third. So you will be getting hello all the stars, world all the stars, good morning all the stars, something like this. So wherever your print function would be ending up, it will return us a 5-star series of 5 stars and then the next line. Okay, I hope it is clear. So by default the value is /n, which is the symbol for new line. By default the value is \n, but we can customize it with anything. So right here I want and then again right here I want nothing. Let's execute this. So you got hello 5 stars, world 5 and then good morning. So just this is even not much of the required. This will come into picture when we will be actually talking about some patterns or so for the practicing part. But the basic thing is you need to know how to execute a print function, and that is simply print in the bracket you need to write the string. Now what if you want to write the number? This is for the string part. If you want to write the number, just remove the inverted comma. You can simply write 55, it will work. Fine. What is the difference between this 55 and this 55? Any one of you who wants to tell? What is the difference between line number, this line and this line? Let me just remove complete of that. Let me just come. Okay, let it be like this. So what is the difference between this 55 and this 55? Any one of you?
It's in single quoted and it is not in single quoted.
Okay, that is visible, but what is the logical difference? One is
What
integer.
happens,
Which one is integer?
which is in quote, it is an integer.
Upper one or lower one?
Lower one.
Lower one is integer. Are you sure, Sanjay? Lower one is string. Okay, fine. So what will be the difference in output? Would they look same or would there be any kind of difference into it if I'll
Yeah,
execute the same code?
yeah, there will be difference.
Hmm.
In
So there
in
will be
upper
difference.
one, yeah, in upper one it reads as a different one, 5 like.
No, no. What will be the result right here on my command prompt screen?
Say if you print $55, it's treated as a string, it will just give an output 55.
Hmm.
And if you go for upper one, that will add, I believe.
Okay, well not. Let's see. The output will remain all the way same. You will not find any significant difference into it. The difference is that whenever this would be computed, it will be computed as a number. And what I mean by this is if I'll write this and if I write this. So if you can see that the plus symbol is of black color in the upper one and pink color in the lower one. So plus symbol doesn't have any significance in the lower part. Now the upper one would be printed as 58, whereas the lower one would be printed as 55 plus 3, the individual characters. Okay, something like this. I forgot to save, I guess. This. Okay, this is the basic difference. Whereas they look exactly same if we go for 55 and 55 head. But if we go for any sort of string, any sort of mathematical computation, it is only and only possible into integer part or float part or any mathematical number. If we enclose them into this inverted comma, it will lose the sense of being number. It will just be like a character which is 5. Okay, so there is no sense of 5 is less than 6 or greater than 4. It is simply a character 5. Okay. Now the next thing is, what is the difference between this line and this line? What is the difference between line number 3 and line number 4? Good morning with single quotes and good morning with double quotes.
Both are same.
Both are the same.
Yes.
What will be the difference of this in C++ or in Java?
That I'm not sure about C++.
Okay, so C++, what would have happened is when any string is enclosed with a single inverted comma, that is basically not a string, that would be considered as a single character. So there are different data type of being a character and being a string. So according to C++, this should be a character and this should be a string, but right here it is exactly same and it will remain the same, and this will be good morning, guys. Nothing changed. Whatever sort of operations you want to go into it, it will remain the same. Okay, another thing is, suppose I want to write something like, I'll just make it up, I'll just remove this so that good morning and good morning would be fine. Now what if I want to write something that it's something like this. Okay, now what would I need to do if I want to enclose a single inverted comma within my string? Then my string, if it would be like this, just see the difference. It is taking the starting of the string right here and ending it up just after the T. So what would happen to this particular part? It will be ignored. For this, we need to go for double inverted comma on the starting, double inverted comma on the ending, and single inverted comma in between. So if a string has been opened up with double inverted comma, it would be waiting for the closure with double inverted comma itself. And if I want to have a double inverted comma within my string, let me show you this. Okay, I have single inverted comma printed. If I want to have double inverted comma in my string, like suppose in the case of narration, so I would say uh, he said, I hope I am grammatically correct right here. Okay, this is what I want to print. Okay, he said I would come on Monday, something kind of narration, the direct voice and indirect voice. Okay, the grammatical stuff. Now for that we need to go for print single inverted comma to be in the starting and single inverted comma to be in the ending. Now if we have single inverted comma as the outer boundary, we can have double inverted comma within that. If we have double inverted comma in the outer boundary, we can have single inverted comma within that, and there will not be any problem, right? If we would have gone for double inverted comma right here, the string would have started from this place and it gets ended right here itself. So that will not be a valid way of writing this sentence. I hope we are clear with the basic introduction on how to get the output on screen. Okay, how to get the string output on screen, how to get the mathematical output on screen. The mathematical part could be any integer or a float. 55.2 and 3.5, so it will turn out to be 58.7, and you can get it. Otherwise the string part would remain the same. 55 plus 3 is 55 plus 3, not 58. Okay, any doubt into print function? I
Yeah,
hope the things
here,
are clear.
yeah, here, like you shown the Python, like created a Python file with a greater than symbol in
Yeah,
command prompt, which we are not
yes.
able to do that. It
Okay,
says,
so what you can do, you can just go to a folder. Suppose this is the folder I am working on. Okay, so suppose this is the folder I need to work on, the desktop folder. You just
yeah,
need to right click and then you will find a new button right here, which is not there in the Linux. You'll find a new button right here. When you open that, or something like create new, I'm not sure. And when you open that, there will be a parallel list of that, which will be having all the file extensions. So you can create a new Excel file, Word file, Paint file, Adobe Photoshop file, or whatever softwares would be there in your system. So from there you just need to choose for the text file, and it will look something like this plain text. Okay, what you need to do next is you need to save that with the extension to be .py. This is all what you need to do. Okay, and it will work. Then when it comes to calling the Python file, how to execute the Python file, you just need to be in the same directory where your Python file is stored. Otherwise you need to give the path, but we will not be going for the path stuff right now. So you need to be in the same directory. I am on the desktop. Okay, and then what I need to say, Python or Python 3 for whichever version I'm using, and then a space, and then the name of the file. So my name of the file is sess2.py, and then I can just press enter and it will be executed. Okay, I'll wait, and I would hope that all of you would execute these commands with single quote, double quote, nested quoting, and integer printing and float printing and string printing. Simply these 5-6 commands. A very basic stuff, but you will get an idea of how to save a file, how to make a file, how to execute a file, and how to write a basic print function.
Can I share my screen once? If you
Yeah,
just
sure. I'll just close it up from my side.
you're able to see.
Where it's black now, yeah, now it's visible.
Yeah, this is the command we tried here. You can see that Python, the greater than sign also I tried.
Well,
But
okay, might be okay. What you are trying to do, you are trying to launch the file, run the file, or to create the file.
see, first we have tried to, this is the
Where is
Python.
your file? Have you created your file? Do
In the
one thing. Where you are working? You are working on desktop, right? Go to desktop. Go to desktop.
okay,
Right click here.
yeah,
Right click here. Then go to new. Make
yes.
a text file, text document on the second last. Okay, this is the instruction. This is
Sir, I am
the
not able to see screen.
You are not able to view the screen. Might be some internet issue going on
Yes,
at your side.
sir. I think so. Sir, what?
Your voice is even breaking, Saurav. Okay, now it's not my screen going on, it's Sanjay's screen. Now you just need to name it something. Do not name it Python because you'll land up in the conflict of having multiple names for Python. Name it anything else than Python.
No,
Demo2.py. Okay, just press enter. Open the file. And in order to check whether it is demo.py or demo.py.txt, just go to that file, click on that file, right there on the desktop, okay, and click on properties. Okay, this is actually turning out to be demo2.py.txt. So this way you are basically making a text file with the extension of txt but with the name of demo2.py. What else you can do, just close the file and delete the file. I'll tell you another way. Just close the file, delete the file as well, it will not be required anymore. Okay, now search for text on your bottom left. Search for text editor, notepad. Yeah, open that. Now save the file on the desktop. On the desktop, name it something. Change the text document to at the bottom one, txt to all Python, all files. Yeah, done. Then save it. Okay, close that. Now see if you can see the file right here. Can you? Where you have actually created the file?
The desktop itself.
Refresh this.
It's not there.
Okay, what was the name you have created for?
Demo2.python.
Okay, just open this file on the right. You can see demo2.py. Just click on save as. You'll find where you have actually saved it. You have
Desktop.
saved it inside desktop. You have saved it for data science. Click on the back arrow on the top left. Back, yeah, this one. Within this one more folder you have into created this. Might be in the browser.py. Okay, not here. Okay, so you have created somewhere else. Just click on the desktop and make the file right here. Okay, turn it to all files and save that. Okay, now you have the file and it is a Python file. That's why it's having PyCharm logo into it. Now you can write the code into it, either on the PyCharm or simply on the text file. If you're working on PyCharm, just open that, write the code, and right click and run the cell. Run the kernel, not the cell.
So we can't run here in this command prompt.
You can run it here by writing python space demo3.py. Do not go for greater than symbol. Simply python space demo3.py. Yeah, run that.
Nothing is there, so you have to
It is a
write.
blank file, it has nothing to do. Exactly, you need to firstly write the command, write the instructions to be executed, and then the same way your file would be executed. So if you have PyCharm basically have an internal terminal into it as well. You can also run it onto PyCharm or you can run it right here, whatever you feel like. Then if you want to go for simple access, then you can open this with Notepad rather than working on PyCharm. It will be a heavy software for you. You can
Okay.
directly right click on that and open with Notepad. Right click on the demo3 file. There you'll find the open with, the 7th, 8th one. Yeah. Then go for choose another app firstly. It might take time. So anyhow, you can just open that on Notepad simply. Or you can even open that on Python or just tick that always use this. Okay, you missed that. Anyhow, by this way, you can basically open this within Notepad and execute it right here. Okay, simple enough. So I'll wait for the execution of this. So Saurav, any internet issue going on at your site? Saurav, can you hear me? Yeah. So can you see the screen now?
Yes sir.
Okay.
सर फाइल क्रिएट हो रही है, आपने जो सिंटेक्स बताया था वो इनकरेक्ट आ रहा है.
And why you are going for syntax if you can create it normally with Notepad?
सर प्लीज
I
हेल्प
told you
मी
that
टू.
particular syntax is for Linux, not for Windows. I told this multiple times. Why you cannot go for normal text file creation with Notepad? Just open Notepad, make a new file, save it somewhere, and execute it with command prompt.
ओके.
Hello.
Yes, Tanvi.
Yeah, I created the file after writing the print functions. When I go to run the file, it shows can't open file, no such file or directory.
Okay, might be you are in the wrong directory. Just check with that your command prompt is on the same place where actually your file is stored.
Yeah, that's in the on the desktop.
Or else the file name would be different. Or what you can do is you can share the screen so that it will be curated. You can check the file name and the file directory. If both the things are sorted, then you should better share the screen. Are they both perfectly correct?
It's working fine.
Working fine, great. So try to execute all the 5-6 commands we have discussed. Okay, I'll just copy that on the Skype chat box. Do not copy it from there, just read it and execute it by your own.
Sure.
Can you
Tanvi, your voice is breaking. It isn't audible.
Sir, I have created a file, notepad file on desktop. Then what I have to do in command
Then you
prompt?
need to firstly write some code into the Python file so that you will get an idea that what actually you are doing, what you basically want to have that machine to be done. So you want to write the sprint good morning, or 55.2 plus 3.5 or these sort of commands, these sort of print function instructions, and then you need to execute it on the command prompt. Okay, so Tanvi, your screen
Okay,
is
sir.
black this time, till this time. At least I am not able to view that for now. Let's wait for it to be on the screen.
just see
Something internet lag. I am not able to hear your voice as well, and neither the screen. Can you share the screenshot on the chat? The screen isn't visible.
Okay, fine.
Shankar, is it working at your end? Are you able to make a file, write some code and launch it on command prompt? Okay. Sure, then no worries. Tanvi, I didn't get any screenshot. Okay, so Saurav, what you need to do is, have you created the file and type this instructions into the file, the print function basically. Once you are done, just open your command prompt in the same place, navigate to the same place. Suppose you are working on desktop, so navigate your command prompt to the desktop with the command cd desktop. I just write it there on the screen, on the chat box. Okay, so after doing cd desktop, then you need to write the command python space name of the file. So suppose your name is suppose demo, so you need to write python space demo.py and it should work. Make sure to replace it with your name.
How to copy paste in your this thing?
In command prompt.
No, yeah, in command prompt, how to copy and paste in your
If
chat
you're on
screen.
Windows, then right click will work. So with right click you can copy paste, or you can try going for Control Shift C and Control Shift V. So Control C, Control V simply will not work. So Control Shift C or Control Shift V. Okay, so Tanvi, go for ls. Write ls and press enter. And it is not python 3 underscore session2.py, it is simply python 3 space session2.py, and just type ls into it. And ls is specifically for Ubuntu users or Linux users. Do not try it on Windows, it will not work. The equivalent on Windows is dir. It will list the complete directory. Then we try ls and tell me whether you can see this session.py file, session2.py file in your same place or not.
I
Okay, your voice is breaking a lot. Whether if you can
I can see I can see my file.
not audible. Better if you can write it on text. Command to be written to export the py file. What do you mean by export, Shankar, right here? We need to execute, not export. So in order to execute, you need to write python space demo3.py or demo2.py, just like this command Sanjay has written. Okay, something like this. So whatever your name of the file is, and in the same place where actually your file is stored. Then we keep sharing me the screenshot, right? Alice, share me the screenshot. Yeah, I got it. Wait. Okay, you have. All right. I'll tell you what is the problem. Your file name is python3 underscore session2.py. This is complete file name. And what you are executing is session2.py. So in order to execute this file, you need to write python3 as your shell, as your executor, and python3 underscore session2.py as the file name. That is the problem. So I gave you the command python3 space python3 underscore session2.py. This will surely work. Why so? Because the file you have created has a name python3 underscore session2.py. It shouldn't be this case. The file name should be demo2, demo3, session2, session3 or whatever. But it should not have Python into it. If you have it, then no worries. Just simply write the complete Python file name. So the complete file name is python3 space underscore python3 underscore session2.py. This is the complete file name for you. Okay, you can create it, but otherwise you can also rename that. Well, so guys, make it fast, last 5 minutes for the execution. And I got the confirmation from Sanjay, and I guess Shankar is also done. Just write me a done message, those who have done that. All of you please write it again. How to rename on terminal might be with mv command, but you can try renaming directly from desktop. I'll just check it and let you know. Okay, so it is mv space, the renaming command is mv space the existing name space the new name you want to give. So for you it will be like mv space python3 underscore session2.py space session2.py. Sanjay, Shankar done. Saurav, is it done at your end? Okay, no worries, make it fast.
But I want to know where exactly is this useful when we use this kind of things,
What kind of thing?
this print command in real time scenario.
So print command is very much useful because whatever you make, whatever program you make, you need to print something on the console. You definitely need to give some output, and with and only with print command, you can basically launch something from your file to the command prompt. Okay, then otherwise, no matter how much big calculation you make, how would you be able to get the result on your command prompt, right?
Okay.
So suppose you made a calculator. So you are giving two inputs and you are saying whether to plus them or minus them, and the machine is calculating the result. But how would you check the result of it without printing? You need to print it on.
Okay. To get the result, we have to print.
To not to make the decision, to make the result of the decision shown to the user.
Okay.
Okay, print is something printing it on output screen, and it is very much useful. Even if you have the server, you want something to be printed on the server part whenever you work on the extensive scales of web dev or IoT. So then you even print something on the command prompt. For we can say the log.
You mean to say like when we write a code, a small code, so we need to check whether it is executing correctly or not, any errors or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if it is executing or not, at the end you always need an output. That is why you are making a code. If you are not getting an output, then there is no sense of making a code actually. You need the output in some or the other way. So print is one of the format of getting the output into the command prompt. There would be another output format with the file, and so we'll going to discuss that.
Okay.
Okay, so Saurav, show me the screen, show me the desktop where actually your file is stored with the name data.py. And check whether it is data.py or it is data.py.txt by right clicking on the file and clicking on properties. You will get it there. So is it done, Tanvi? You can see the output? Okay, great. So we are just left with Saurav. Let's wait for him and then we'll move on to the next part. Fine, so now your file is executing, it is perfectly fine, and there is an error in your code that you forgot to close the single inverted comma. You opened single inverted comma, you opened double inverted comma, you closed double inverted comma, but you forgot to close single inverted comma as well. So just after Monday, you have double inverted comma closed. After that, you need to close the single inverted comma as well. Just check the code I sent you. And this is on the last line. We will talk about how to read the errors in the upcoming session. Yeah, all other things are done. Your file is executing, that is perfectly fine. Just there is some issue on the code, so that needs to be rectified. So we'll talk about how to read the error and how to rectify that in one or the other class. We would be having a complete session of error reading and error debugging.
Sir, I think I am done with all the things. You tell
Okay,
us.
just show me the output. Show me the command prompt output, and
Okay.
just send me the screenshot right here, and then we will move on.
Okay, sir. Sir, again error is coming.
Okay, then show me the error at least. Have you done? Have
Okay.
you made the change which I asked you to do so? The inverted
Yes,
comma should be closed.
I have put single colon on the last.
Okay, just show me the error what it is. Fine, so
Okay.
Tanvi, that's fine. Okay, you haven't basically Sanjay. This is wrong syntax. The inverted comma you have opened double inverted comma and closed it in the last, and moreover you have also opened single inverted comma and you forgot to close it anyway.
But it worked for me, no?
No, it shouldn't work. It will not work at all.
But I gave output also.
Okay, if it will work, it will be just like having a single inverted comma in between, and it will not take care of the closing of single inverted comma. It will logically be incorrect. Okay, so just think of it that you mentioned your message. He said comma, then inverted comma started, and you forgot to close the inverted comma. According to English grammar, it is incorrect. According to Python grammar, it is perfectly correct because it will take care of only the whole sum of string, which is starting from h and ending at y, and which has the perfect syntax. So you are basically missing something on English grammar. I hope you understand this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just share
So
your syntax.
yeah, syntax wise, the Python grammar is allowing this, but the logical output wouldn't be so much correct. Well, anyhow, sort of make it fast. last 2 minutes for you. Just share me the screenshot as early as possible so that I can rectify that, or else if you have done that, that's great. Last 2 minutes and I'll move on. So it's 12:53 right here on my screen. If whenever I'll be having 12:55, I'll move on to the next topic. And where you have closed your single inverted comma, I told you. And if you have done that, you forgot to save your file, might be. That is the issue going on. Otherwise, everything is so correct. You forgot to save the file. Just save that and run that again. And make sure this is the same file where you are making changes, and it is the file which you are executing actually. And this thing you can try changing hello world to hello simply, and if you can get that change running, that means you are on the same file. Well, so I'm moving on. Sort of it'll take, like, if you can share your screen, I can better tell you. I hope it worked now. Anyways, I'll be moving on to the next topic. I just share my screen as well. The last message for you. I'll just wait. It is some kind of error, obviously. If you'll miss the syntax, if you'll miss the closing part of any inverted comma, it will be raising an error. It will match the parenthesis from the opening and later. It will be done later. Yeah, sure then. But this is the very basic thing. You should be able to do this. Otherwise, it will create a problem at later on as well. So after the class, even we can shuffle it up, and we can see that what can be done. Now moving ahead. So these were the topics which we have discussed from module 1, and into the module 2. We basically have talked about the output mechanism. Before going to input mechanism, I would be talking about the comments part. So in order to make any line commented on Python, we need to write hash in front of you. But the first thing is, why to make comments? And there are a few reasons behind that. I'll just show you that how does it would be executed. Now I have 55 plus 3 commented, which was visible right here, and if I'll execute it now, I just save the file, and if I'll execute it now, I wouldn't have 55 plus 3 on my screen. See the difference right here, the existing one, and this the new one. Okay, so now I do not have 55 plus 3 right here. What is the need of comment? Those who have been into any programming language know that comments are basically used for 2-3 purposes. One of the thing is that you wrote some code, now you do not need that, but in the later part you need that. Okay, so suppose I don't need 55 plus 3 right now, but in the later part of time I would be needing it. Or something like you are making a website, and then you found okay, this login sign up module is not required at this time, but you need that later on. So what you can do, you can just comment it up, and then on the later part you will get that thing uncommented, and this thing will be executed for you. Okay, so you don't erase the code, paste it anywhere, take a backup, or do that stuff. No. Another reason for using comment is that whenever you write the code, you basically write the code which should be readable, which should be understandable. Now if you have written a code which is like on which a team of people are working, a lot of people are working, you want your code to be understood by another person, the another person in your team. So for that, you better should write the code. Suppose I write a code, I write a comment here. Okay, so below few lines are for print function understanding. Simple enough. Now all of the people who would understand this, who will read this, will get an idea. Okay, this is about print function, and right here I write the code. Okay, print function completed, something like this. Okay, so this is why print function, or this is why comments are basically used for. Now one of the reason of using comment is that we can get it documented, and another of the reason of using comment is that we want some of the code not to be executed at a particular time. Okay, I hope I'm clear that why particularly we need to use comments. Now there are two ways of using comment. One of the ways by writing hash here, okay, in the front of the line. I got a message, wait. Okay, so like why do we basically need to use the comment? That is clear. Now how can we use the comment? How can we make a line commented? One of the way is by writing hash in front of the line. Another way, if we want to comment multiple lines, then what we can do, we can write here triple quotes. Okay, triple inverted comma, whether it be single or double. Okay, and then we can close it wherever we want to. Now this way these two lines are commented. Whatever would come under these triple inverted commas, whether it be like this or they be like this, I'll show you. I wrote a triple, 3 times single inverted comma right here and 3 times double inverted commas right here. So both of the ways are perfectly fine for commenting multiple lines. So we can comment multiple lines with this one, single line with the hash, and now what is to be executed? Only this 55.2 plus 3.5, which will be 58.7. I forgot to save. That's it. Is it clear? Is that clear? Why to use comment, how to use comment, when to use comment, what are the types of comment? Fine. So let's move on to another thing. That another thing is about input, taking an input from the user. So I would comment whole of this stuff. Okay, I'll just remove the individual comments firstly. I would comment whole of this stuff. Our next task would be to go for input mechanism. Okay, how to take the input. Now how to take the input has a simple function which is input. Simple enough, input. This is the function, but not simply. If you will take an input from the user, what do I mean by input is, earlier machine was giving output on the command prompt. Now user can give the output to machine, input to machine, sorry. Okay, by typing it on command prompt. So if I type 34, it should be going to machine itself. Now what can be done in order to make the take the input? I just need to write this function and it will take the input for me. But the question is where to store this input. So suppose I made a variable number1, num1, and I taken an input, I stored it there in num1, and I printed print number. Okay, one more thing you will realize right here. Number1 is string close, comma, num1. What do I mean with this? So this is first string which is saying number1 is, and this would be second string which would be giving the number itself. So I just have placed this variable right here. So this is how basically we are using variable. Data types and what are variables we'll be talking about just in the next module, just right today itself. Okay, let me execute this. Now it is waiting for me to input something. So I gave an input of 85. Okay, and it said number1 is 85. Fair enough. Now I can do anything I want to do with that number, or I can print, instead of number1, I can print number1 plus 5. Let's execute this. And it will raise an error. I will tell you about this. This thing we will discuss about this one. I hope this particular part is clear. That how I have given the number and how it's saying that number 1 is 85. Whatever I'll give, it will be displayed. Suppose I give 34, it'll say me, I forgot
Sir,
to say.
what is meaning of line num1 is equal to input parenthesis?
This line, what this line is doing, see,
Yes, yes.
equal means whatever is there on the right should be stored on the left. Now what is there on the right? Let's read it one by one. So what is there on the right? It is an input function. So what will input function be doing? It will wait for me to input something and press enter. So suppose I execute this file is executing. It is waiting for me to write something. I wrote 25 and I will press enter. So when I press enter, this will go to NUM1. This will be stored in NUM1. Okay. So wherever I want to use this number, I can directly use NUM1. And how I am using it, I'm just printing it like number 1 is NUM1. So number 1 is 25 in this case. And no change in code. If I'll write here 35, I'll say number 1 is 35. Is that clear to everyone? How to take the input?
Yes.
Okay. Now what if, so now you are writing 35 simply. What if I want to give you a custom message to write something? Then what should I do? Instead of just blank input function, I'll write here a string, enter first number. Okay, I wrote a string. Now it will write the string and wait for me to give the input. Enter first number. I gave the input to be 23 and it is saying number 1 is 23. This is the another variant of input function we can use in. Okay, again this should also be clear enough. Now this is what we are doing with input mechanism. So we are done with input, we are done with output. How to take the input, how to take the output, we are done. Input completed. Now let me just comment this one as well for now. I'll share this file with you. That's why I'm just commenting it, not deleting this. I'll share the file with you. The next thing we need to talk about would hopefully be variables. Indentation I'll come up when the things would be required. Just right in the starting of module 4, I'll come up with the indentation. But for now, we are done with input and output. We are done with comments. Let's start with module 3 about variables and data types and what is casting and what are operators. And to starting with, I would like to take the concepts from C++. So, or any other basic programming language before Python. Okay, what we basically need to do in C or C++ or in Java in order to make a variable. So we basically write something like int x semicolon and then we say x is equals to 25. Okay, and then we say cout x simply. So what it will be doing, it will be like making a variable right here, declaring the data type and all, initializing the variable with memory with the number, or else what we can do, we can simply write int x is equals to 25. This will also work in C++, and then we are printing up the value. The another way is we can make a variable and we can take the input on that variable with cin. Sorry, my bad. Okay, but right here what I want to display is what I want to convey with this is that you need to specify that what is the particular data type with your variable. So my variable is having a data type of integer. Now I cannot store 55.2 into this. It will not be allowed. I can just store 55 into it. But with Python, there is no such restriction. Internally, it uses data type, but it gets the data type dynamically. So you need not to specify whether you will be using an integer or you will be using a float or you will be using a string. I'll just tell you what are the different type of data types available. Okay, again a documentation of data types, module 3 or simply module. Okay, now I'll be writing what are the different data types. One type of data type is numerical. Another data type is character oriented. And this I would say number oriented, and this whole thing is obviously in comment. Okay, so into the number oriented data type we have something like integer, we have something like float, we have something like complex. Okay, And moreover, into the character oriented data type, we have one thing which is str, string. Okay, there is no such thing like single character, multi character, or anything like that. Simple enough, we have int, float, complex, and str. Now, what would they mean? That whatever you write would be stored either in int or in float or in complex or in str, and there is one more data type of bool. Okay, there is one more boolean data type available which will store the true and false value. So that is not to be discussed much right here. It is simply like storing the value of either in the form of true or in the form of false. Now that means if you write something like x is equals to 52, 53 or 52 or whatever, like, doesn't matter, it will directly store the value of 52 in a variable x which would be having the data type integer. Okay, so instead of writing int x is equals to 52, we are just writing x is equals to 52, and our data type is automatically detecting that okay, this is an integer. And how to check the data type of a particular variable? With the help of function which is type, and in the bracket whatever variable you want to check for. So I want to check for x, so the data type of x is integer, it will give me class int. Fair enough. If I'll go for 52.3, not here, suppose in the later part of code I said okay, x plus equals to 0.3. okay, and then I type the same thing. Now it turned out to be float automatically. I have not specified okay, this is float, this is string, this is this, this is that. No, I didn't. And then I'm turning this to a string. Suppose I turned it to Kulskills. Now let me check the same thing again, and it will give me class str. Fair enough. One more thing is complex. I can turn this to complex as well. So complex is nothing more than the number which is having iota into it. So if you are aware of that under root minus 1, the complex number. So complex number is the square root of a negative number. Okay, and that those are being represented with I value. It automatically detects data type. Yes, it automatically detects data type, and this mechanism is known as dynamic data type allocation. Okay, so I can make a complex number like 4 plus 3j. Okay, so let's see what will be the type right here. It's turning to complex automatically. I haven't done anything. And where j means under root minus 1. So I hope you are aware of the complex numbers, the dimension of complex numbers, and that is what it is using. So we will not be using complex number at all. This is just for research purpose. No such a big application or no such generic application of complex number is right there, neither in machine learning nor in IoT nor in deep learning, or neither anywhere. Like, it's not there. It just exists. That's why I told you. Okay, so with the help of type function, we can check the data type, and just by giving the value, the Python compiler, or not compiler, interpreter. Python is an interpreter based language. So every line, every particular code file will be executed line by line rather than as a whole. Okay, so this means that first line will be turned up to the binary language and then gets executed, then second line, then third line, then fourth line, and then so on. Now the Python interpreter will automatically fetch out the value, according to the value it fetches out the data type and gets printed with type function. I hope I am clear with this part. What are data types and what are different data types available? To all of you, I need all the answers right here. Okay, I got 3. What about you, Saurav? Is this thing clear? Fine. So I again give you the same code, or else instead of giving you the code, I would suggest you to write the code by your own and execute the same thing on your own part. So these are the things available. You can open the same website on your system, or you can refer it the same thing on my screen. It is written right here, and just try to execute whole of the code. We talked about input, output, comments, and data types, and till now we are just checking the type. We are not casting the type. I'll tell you about type casting afterwards, but before that, just execute the same thing right here on your system and share me the screenshot when you will be doing that, when you have done that. take into account closing here, तो काम ये हो जाएगा कि जैसे कि नंबर में हमें ऐड करना है तो 50 प्लस इक्वल टू 3 मतलब 50 इज इक्वल टू 50 प्लस 3 मतलब पुराने वाले में और ऐड कर दो या माइनस कर दो मैंने डिफरेंट वाले डिवाइड कर दिया ऑपरेटर को अपने में कैलकुलेट कर दिया
Can you just share your command screen?
command prompt or the code file.
Code file like you have written no on the notepad.
This part is right here.
Yes.
I would better suggest you to write it by your own without just copy pasting and just look at it where and how you are getting the error, and then if you refer my screen afterwards it will be comparatively very much beneficial. Better to write it by your own firstly. Great. So you are done with all the things written right here on the script, on my script. I'm getting some errors. Okay, 4 plus j3 or 4 plus 3j? It is 4 plus 3j, and it is simple like 4 plus 3 iota. That is it. So you should do comment part, you should execute input function, output function, with output I mean print function, okay, and you should check the type of different variables. This is all you need to do. So all of my 3 screens are open right now. Four plus 3j is complex data type. So the same thing which you have studied in your 9th or 10th when they talked about complex data type like iota under root minus 1. That is what 4 plus 3j look like. It is complex data type. The name of the data type is complex. Yeah, fine, Saurav, but try to execute others as well, other data types. It's working perfectly fine. Sanjay got it right, yeah. So I hope you are also done with the input and output part. Just do not try type functions at all, go for input output as well.
Yes, I tried for input output also. It's
Yeah,
working fine.
great. Okay, fine, no worries.
Yeah, I'll log out at 1:45 because I need to log in also for office hours. So
Okay.
I'll be having a call at 2 o'clock. So before that, I have to make sure I have to be ready.
Then okay, you will be logging out at 45.
1:45.
Sure thing. Okay. So guys, what's up? Is that done? What about others? Okay, are we all done? Tanvi. Well, so let's move on to the next part. Okay, great. I got a big line right here. Yeah, so the error is that you are opening with a single quote and closing with a double quote. That's the problem. And on the next part, you curated that. That's cool. That's fine. Okay, so I just expand my Skype. Move on to the chat. Wait. Okay, so now what we basically need to do is we need to talk about the next thing. Which before that, I'll talk about what are variables firstly. Okay, so variable is something which has some value and which can be changed throughout the entire program. as soon as the program is not getting deleted, the variable is not getting deleted, the variable will store a value and which can be changed. So right now you can see x, and it is a concept not of Python, of any generic programming language. It remains the same throughout the programming, all programming languages. So I have a variable with the value 52, which I changed later on by adding 0.3 into it. Don't just be scared of what is plus 0. Plus equals to 0.3. I'll talk about it. Then I again change the value to cult skills, and I again change the value to 4 plus 3j. So the value kept on getting changed and again and again and again. So this is what the purpose of variable looks like. So you can store a lot of things into a variable, like your age, some temperature value, or whatever you want to store it. Okay. On the other hand, there is something like a constant. So a constant is something which cannot change, whose value cannot be changed. So what we need to basically store in constant, some static things like days of the week, how many days are there in a week, how many months are there in a year, how many days are there in a year, or something like who is the president, who was the president of India from 1947 to till date, the list of all the presidents, that should remain constant, who was the first president of America, and all that thing. Okay, so like for the things which we think like they'll not get modified in the time, with the time going on, so we keep them in the constant part. But for now, what we have done, we have basically talked about input, output, comment, variable, and the data type. Now let's see how can we cast the type. And casting means changing from one type to another. I again would be going to comment this up. Okay, now another thing is we will be calling as typecasting. Typecasting completed right here, and then right here we completed. We are right. Well, enough of documentation. Let's talk about typecasting. So we have a variable, suppose x, with the value of 35. Now if I want to typecast it into a string, then it will look something like string 35. Okay, and how can I typecast that? By just simply saying a is equals to, or whichever value I want to store it into, is equals to str bracket x. It will be typecasted into string. Okay, and if I want to typecast it into float, simply float x. If I want to typecast the same thing into complex, so complex x. If I want to, so these are the 4 data types we can typecast into. Okay, string, float, and complex, and it is by default an integer. And we will study how can we typecast something into integer as well with just int function. It will remain the same for this. And now I will be going to print a and b and c and d. Okay, so let's execute this, and you will find when we turned it into string, it remains the same because the way of representing a string and a numbers remains the same into the command prompt. When we turned it into float, it turned out to be 35.0. When we converted it into a complex, it turned out to be 35 plus 0j, and it was by default integer itself already. Now let's see what would happen if we convert 35.2 into all that stuff. Okay, now executing this will give you 35.2 into string, as it is the same, 35.2 again into float, into complex it said 35.2 plus 0j, and it gave you 35 when you translated it into integer, because integer doesn't have decimal value, or integer doesn't have the after decimal value. Simply it will always be having the value before the decimal or without the decimal, the discrete set of values. Now what would happen if I'll convert a string into all that? Suppose I wrote Harsh here, or suppose I wrote here Python. Okay, let's try to execute this. What we are getting is we cannot convert that into float. We'll not be able to convert that into float because that is not a number which can be converted. Okay, then another type of string exists is known as alphanumeric string. So suppose I have a 23.4 in the string format. If I convert that into float, I forgot to save, I guess. Okay, it's raising the error into integer now, because the same thing cannot be converted into integer. 23.4 into a string cannot be converted into integer. Now what I'm getting is, into string it gets converted, into float it is already the float gets converted, then into complex it is I'm printing D right here, wait, I just need to change it up. Into the complex part it is turning out to be 23.4 plus 0j. That's like the usual. Again, what's wrong? Yep. So now with these functions we can typecast. This is known as typecasting, where we cast one variable to another and same way the another one to the first one. So we can type any variable into string or float or complex or integer. Okay, if it allows to be done, if it allows to be transferred from one data type to another data type. Okay, is this thing clear? Simple thing, typecasting. Hope this part is quite clear to you. Yeah. Moving on to the next thing, apart from typecasting we have something like operators. So let's talk about operators again. I'll be going to make a kind of hierarchy, documented hierarchy. Available operators, or simply operators. An operator started here, and so into a numeric data type, number oriented data type, we have operators. Okay, what are number oriented data types? The data type which will be of the type int, float, complex, and the character oriented data type would be having string only, or text oriented you can say. So into this we have operators like plus, minus, multiply, divide, double divide, double multiply, like known as double multiply but not actually it is. Okay, plus, minus, multiply, divide, double divide. We have modulus, we have plus equals to, we have minus equals to, we have multiply equals to, divide equals to. Okay, I'll just make it a bit more wide. Fine, and on the next line into the relational part we have less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to, double equal, not equal. So these are the arithmetic operators till this. Afterwards these are the assignment operators. Okay, even I forgot to place equal here, which is also an assignment operator, but better not to add it. And then we have relational operators. So this I'll say arithmetic, this one would be assignment, this one would be relational. Fine, so these are the different operators available into number oriented, and we will be going to talk about each of them. Into character oriented we have, obviously there will not be any kind of arithmetic involved, but we would be having two operators, which is plus and multiply, although less than and greater than also work into that, but in some another manner. So it's not basically simply a usable, very frequently usable, directly usable operator. Okay, so into the arithmetic part, how does different operators perform? I'll give you an example. So suppose you have A, which is 5, you have B, which is 3, or I'll make it 50 and 3, or 50 and 8 suppose. Okay, so for plus you will get the output to be 58, simple enough. For minus, A minus B, you will get the output to be 42. If you will go for the reverse, you will get minus 42. Okay, normal mathematics. If you go for multiply, both of the way you will get 400. If you will go for divide, what you will get is, I need to even go for that. What is 50 divided by 8? And I can show you all the operations right here as well. If you go for 50 plus 8, 58, 50 minus 8, 42, 50 divide by 8, it will give you 6.25. Okay, if you will go for double divide, what the hell is this double divide? 50 double divide 8. This will give you 6. So what does this mean? It will only give you the perfect quotient. Okay, so this will not give you the decimal point part. So it will be something like that. I'll show you right here. What I want to say is, so what this double divide will be giving you. So you are doing the divide which you have learned in your 3rd, 4th class, that this is 50, this is 8. Okay, and this is where your quotient will come. So you will do 8, right here 6. So this is what double divide will be giving you. Okay, and 6.25 is something what single divide will give you, and this is what you will get with modulus. Modulus is that percentage sign, and this is also known as remainder, and this is known as quotient. So if I'll go for 50 modulus 8, will give you 2, like this way. And even we can do the same thing for suppose 40 modulus 8. So 40 modulus 8 will be 0, because 8 into 5 is clear 40. If I'll go for 41 modulus 8, it will be 1. Okay, and 41 double divide 8 would be 5. 41 single divide 8 would be 5 point something, 5.125. And the same way what we are getting right here. Okay, so double divide will give you 6. Modulus will give you 2. Now another thing is this star star. So single star means multiply, double star means power. So 50 star star 8 means 50 raised to the power 8, which is a big number. So 2 raised to power 4 is 2 into 16. What is this? Sorry, double divide. My bad. So 2 raised to the power 4 is 16, and in the same way 50 raised to the power is this big number, something in billions. Okay, so these are the OR operators. These are the all operators we have talked about. So double operator will give you a big number. I can just copy paste it rather than writing it right here. Okay, so this is what the different operators will be doing for you. Now plus is equals to, minus is equals to, something like a different way. It will be executed like you have a is equals to 50 and you are saying a plus equals to b. That means that can be expanded with a is equals to a plus b. So a plus b means 50 plus 8, 58, which will be stored in a. So that is the short form of writing a is equals to a plus b, which is a plus equals to b. And similarly for minus, similarly for multiply, divide, and whatever you want to go for. Okay, then there are relational operators. Obviously less than is 50 less than 8 would be false. I can just show you 50 less than 8. This will give you true or false. So false. If I'll go for greater than, true. Greater than equals to will be true, but 50 greater than equals to 52 would be false. Simple enough. And similarly we can have less than equals to. Now what will be the output of 50 greater than 50? And the question is to Tanvi. Go for an audio if possible. Okay, I'm not getting any voice. Well, anyone else? Sanjay?
False.
It will be false. And what will be the value of this one?
It's a true.
True, yeah, right. So this will be true, and whereas if we'll go for this, it will be false. Because 50 is not less than 50. 50 is equivalent to 50. So if we'll say 50 less than 50, it will be false. 49 is less than 50, not 50. Okay. Whereas if we'll go for double equals, it will again give us true. If we'll go for not equals, it will go for false. We'll write for 50 not equals to 52. Like the basic stuff. Nothing, not so rocket science to be talked about. And this is just the way how do we write it in Python and in almost all the programming languages. But the concept is very basic, which we have discussed in our 5th, 6th class as well. The same thing which we are talking about right here. So these are the different operators we were talking about. Now coming on to string. What are the different operators for string? The operators are plus and multiply, written right here. How would it work? So I have a string, let's suppose a is equals to cult, and I have a string b is equals to skills. Fine. If I'll go for A plus B, it'll give me curl skills, but without any space. If I'll go for A plus another string with space plus B, it will give me cult for A plus as default and skills for B, something like this. Then there is something like multiply. So how would it be executed? We can go for cult in the string part, multiply by 5. So it will give me cult, something like this. Okay, so multiply is a kind of repetition, whereas plus is kind of appending into the string. I hope all the operators are very clear to you. The things were only basic, not so complex, not a rocket science, but still, if there is any kind of doubt, we can talk about it. And I need the answers from all of you. I hope it is clear.
Yes.
Fine. So, Saurav, is this thing clear to you as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are done with operators now. Now, what is your task into this is you need to do all the things by your own. I'll be sharing you the files as well, and you need to perform this whole stuff by your own as well. So we talked about, into module 2 we are left with indentation only. Into module 3 we talked about variables, data type, typecasting and operations. I wouldn't go for module 4 as of now, and indentation would be covered into that because it will be altogether a very different ball game. We'll be talking about building the logic actually. So this is going to be an interesting one. So tomorrow we'll be going to learn module 4 and implement some exercise, and if the time allows we'll be even going for the module 5 as well. This is the exercise of regarding module 4. Okay, so now till module 3 I'm completely open for all the doubts from your side, and I hope everything should be very much sorted to you. All the words written right here from module 1 to module 3 should be very clear in your mind that what all they mean, apart from indentation. Simply indentation means just a generic space given to provide the body, but we'll talk about it in technical terms in the next class. Okay, so our next class agenda would be to going for the logic building with if condition, for loop, while loop, if else and elif and all the other blocks required to build the logic, whether it's in the form of conditions or in the form of iterations. But till now we are done with module 1, module 2 and module 3. Are those things very perfectly clear to you? Okay, this particular time is completely for doubts only. No more technical discussions. Just doubts and topics to be revisited.
Yeah, I have one question here.
Yeah, definitely. Go for that.
We discussed about IDE and tools. So
Yes.
because we didn't install any IDE or tools here, we just
We actually did Jupyter. We installed Jupyter
yeah,
right here.
yeah, Jupyter. So as you said, we can go for Python or something like that, because we didn't try it in Python, we tried in the command prompt.
Okay, no, we didn't try it in Python is a wrong statement. What you are working on is actually onto the Python itself. So no command prompt will be able to launch your Python script without having Python installed in the system. Okay. So as you already had Python installed in your system,
Yes.
and even some of you didn't have it. So we installed Python first, then we turned on to the command prompt. Otherwise command prompt would not be able to execute this command. Okay. So we are working on Python rather than on any Anaconda, PyCharm or Jupyter IDE. Without Python, we cannot execute a Python script. Just like right now, I cannot execute a JavaScript, not JavaScript, not that JavaScript, the Java program simply. If I'll write here Java C, I'll get something like it is not installed. I need to install it with OpenJDK and all that stuff. Once I'll be having that, I can execute the Java file just like writing Java and the file name, or simply firstly Java C and then the file name, and then can execute it with Java. But for that, I need to have Java in my system, which by today I do not have it right now. Similarly, if I would not be having Python in my system, I would not be able to execute this all.
Instead of going to command prompt, can we directly work on Python, this thing, the terminal?
Which,
Python terminal, like.
okay, what is the Python terminal you're talking about? The Python shell which comes already installed. Okay, so that is the shell for single line execution. That
Okay.
would not be that particular shell would not be able to execute your files. So what this shell looks like, it will always be having this triple arrow in front of it, like this one. Okay. If you'll open that, you'll find, so what you can do is you can write single line and it will get executed just like what I was doing in last 10 minutes. Something like this. Okay, you will not be able to execute the file from there. In order to execute the file, you need to launch it on the command prompt with the Python 3 extension. Okay, I got some messages after making changes in Notepad file or adding some things in it. I'm calling again python.py. Is it? Yeah, it is completely right. You will firstly need to save that and then you need to launch it, call it. Use of PyCharm. Okay, PyCharm is another type of IDE. So there are different IDEs available. One is Anaconda, one is PyCharm, and a lot more are available there. So what PyCharm will give you, it is just giving you an environment where you can write the code and execute it in the same place. Okay, but the problem with using PyCharm is once you will be stick to PyCharm, you will not be very much comfortable into this part. Okay, just try to think of it in this scenario that you started learning car driving with the automatic cars, auto gear shifting cars. Okay, then you will find it difficult to move on to the manual cars. But if you try learning the car driving on the manual cars, you can easily shift to auto cars. So if you know the core of the Python, you can directly shift to PyCharm, Anaconda, or whatever you want to go for. But if you only know, if you stick yourself to PyCharm only, then it will be difficult for you to shift to Anaconda or to the core Python or anything else. That will be the problem later on. I hope it is clear, Shankar. Yeah. So any other doubt from your side? I'm completely open for only doubts right now.
Yeah, I'll log out because I have to work on office this thing.
Well, yeah, okay, no problem. So I'll just be getting the doubts right now. I'll not be moving ahead for the technical part. Take care. Have a great day ahead.
Sure, thank you.
We'll see you in the next class. How you are able to write in the file and display results on the same time? No, I am not displaying the results on the same time. I am writing on the file on this text editor and I am launching the file right here with this python 3 command, python 3 space s2.py. Okay, and then when I press enter, it will give me the result. If I make any change here, suppose I turned print A, B, C instead of this 23.4, I am turning it to 25.4. Saving this will not give me result. When I execute it right here, then only it will give me the result. I'm not able to make the changes right parallelly. I'm writing the file, writing the changes on the file and displaying the result on command prompt by executing it. Well, so are we done for the doubts? Any other doubt?
Sir, what are values that are you write in front of a double star when you are talking about operators?
Okay, so double star
There are
was
some large
I
values.
was
What
having
is meaning of
50,
that values?
which value? Like 50 double star 8, that one? Or this
Yes,
value you're talking about? This?
yes, sir.
Okay, so this is like 50 power 8. That is what it means. Okay, so 50 multiply 50 multiply 50 multiply 50 for 8 times. That is what a double star means. Okay, so double star is the like this operator for power. Okay, just like 2 power 3 would be 8, not 6.
Okay,
It's not multiply, it is 50 multiply 50 multiply 50 for 8 times. So 50 power 2 will not be 100, it will be 2500.
okay. What are meaning of other that are
Okay, so they
written
are
about?
simply plus, minus, multiply, divide. This double divide is basically the quotient part, which is truncating 6.25
Yes.
to 6 itself, and this modulus is the remainder part. They are simple mathematics like plus, minus, multiply, divide, nothing else. I'll share this file to all of you. Like I'll just share it right now as well. So you can check this out. You can practice with this. I would better suggest you not to copy the code from here and execute it. All the things which we have discussed, go to the website of skullskills.com, visit the page of Python, start from module 1, whatever thing you like that, okay, this thing I need to check with my execution, just execute that. If you will be able to execute it, that is perfectly well. If you will not be able to execute it, if you will get any error also, refer this file. And still, if any error persists, you would not be able to solve it out, you can call me or text me on WhatsApp or whatever way you want to talk to me. And then the queries will be resolved. Okay, so then let's end this class by right here. See you in the next class. I hope there will not be any doubts. And this was a wonderful session. And we had this class quite interactive. I would hope that other classes would also be so much interactive like this. And see you for the next class and the upcoming topics.
It's on Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. It's on Thursday. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
sir.
Bye bye.
Sir, what is the assignment?
Okay, assignment part is you need to do all the stuff. You need to visit the Skull Skills website, and whatever topics are written in module 1, 2, and 3 apart from indentation, you need to try to write the code for them, execute that. So you should be able to execute the code written by yourself. And if you would find any error into that, just refer to the file I shared you, this scss2.py. And if you still didn't get to resolve your error, then you can let me know and that thing will be resolved. But you better should try to do that by yourself. Okay, then you can try to go for the file part.
Sir, after learning on command prompt, can I